It's going to be a big moneymaker.
It's going to be a huge moneymaker. I know people say that they're not going to see it. I don't see. I think the original film, let's be honest, was a good film. We're not going to sit there and pretend like it's not a good film because we don't like the narrative in it. It was a great film. Good work done in the film.
Right.
You know? Who knew that Whoopi could act her ass off like that? You know, because she, you saw different layers and levels of Whoopi. You saw her, evolve over the years. In that. In that film. Absolutely. Let me see. So that's interesting. So what I want to do is spend a little bit of time actually breaking down the actual film itself. I'm going to bring up Kofa Michon, and he's going to talk about Mr.
Good luck.
We go sit there and talk about Mr. Kosher, where you at, man? Let me see. Here we go. All right, Michon, I will get back to you in just a moment. Kosher, how you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. How about yourself?
I'm good. So you're gonna lead us off into the actual breakdown of the color purple itself.
Yes, sir. It's so many layers to this movie, Real Bravado. And I got some clips that I actually allow pull up so you can let the audience see it. But what it looks like to me, man, is this ongoing nebulous cycle of vicarious trauma. And I said in the post that there is power in victimization. Some people use victimization they get what's called a dualistic effect. They get victimization on one end, but also they get attention. So it's a dualism. They use trauma to put their attention on them. And what they do, they overgeneralize the populace of black men. In the clinical world, there's something we call antecedents, behaviors, and consequences. Antecedents is what happened before something is manifest. The behavior is the byproduct of it, and the consequences can be good or bad. The fact that these people are actually dealing with vicarious trauma, meaning I'm listening to the stories of my grandmother, I'm hearing their pain, I'm comparing that to all the struggles I went through with the men that I dealt with. What it does, it can castrate black men in a negative light. And what it does, it keeps them in a perpetual cycle of taking minute evidence and either generalizing or overgeneralizing all black men based on the limited information that they heard. So it's power in victimization, but also it's power in getting attention. Because if you think about it, Real Bravado, most women physically can't beat the average man. There are some that can, but on average, the average woman can't beat the average man. So that gives them attention. There's a clinical word called factious disorder or Munchausen by proxy. And while I'm not saying that people don't go through trauma, factious disorder simply means that a person will fake that they've been hurt to give attention or to garner attention. And so it's a condition that you tend to see in women a lot. But the sad fact is we continue to have these negative stereotypes about black men, which in essence perpetuate the cycle that we are violent, we don't take care of our kids, and that we're going to hurt women. No different than what the KKK did about black men being aggressive and violent.
Right. I have a question for you. So when's the last time you seen the movie?
I saw it years ago, man. I haven't seen it since then. I saw it, but I didn't really get the gist. Only thing I saw is Mr. being a bad guy, Mr. being somebody that was mean to Celie and Oprah. But you know what? I'm glad you asked me that question. Thank you for asking that question, Real Bravado. But when you said something that was very profound a couple of minutes ago, and you were talking about the many things that actually happens to the point where we hear the story of what grandmom said about grandfather. But let's say if grandfather was everything that grandmom said, people never take in consideration that the man that was violent, the man that was alcoholic, the man that was abusive, the man that slept with multiple women, they don't take in consideration that sometimes those men didn't have healthy coping skills to deal with the traumas that they went through. And dealing with trauma or whatever, some people use the church, black folks use the church by and large back in the past. But every person didn't have adequate social skills to deal with their pain. So the black man that was having babies out of wedlock, the black man that came home and became an alcoholic and hit his woman, did we ever take into consideration, Bravado Network, that perhaps granddaddy was dealing with the impact of being called the boy? Did we ever take into consideration that grandfather was dealing with the impact of not being able to get gainful employment? Did we ever take into consideration that granddaddy saw his mama being beat, or his daddy being beat, or his grandparents being hung, or them hearing the story, and therefore he transmitted that trauma to the woman that he's dealing with? But we never take in consideration that, men are human too. We always see men as either, what we call black and white thinking, good or bad. We don't look at the gray. And because of that, what it does, it keeps these negative images and these negative stereotypes perpetuating without looking at things through a clinical lens. Because there's healthy coping, like working out, sublimation, when you take something bad and turn it into something good. But then there's also negative coping, sex, eating, drinking, verbal and physical abuse. So we don't take in how Jim Crow racism played a role on the psyche of men. We just paint black men with a broad stroke. We don't have or add any humanity or dignity to their suffering and their pain. But when it comes down to the stories that grandmom said, every black man was bad. Every black man wanted to keep them barefoot and pregnant. Every black man drunk. Every black man had children out of wedlock. But they don't talk about the children that grandmom had. They don't talk about the women when grandfather was overseas fighting for the country. She had babies by other men. They don't talk about that.
Yeah. Here's one thing I want to point out too, Kosher. Because I know you got a lot to get to. Here's one thing I want to point out, and I'm not trying to overly humanize Mister, but here's something that dawned on me while I was watching the movie. If you transplant Mister today, Mister was a middle class man. He owned a farm. He owned land. He was a farmer. And back then he had, I think I counted 4 horses. He had cows. He had, a wide range of cattle. And he had enough property where his son Harpo was able to build his own house on his property.
Right.
So we don't even look at the fact that, whatever Mr. did, we don't understand that Mr. was a man that could provide for a home and a family because he had an income from his farming, from his, selling his crops. He had plenty of land. We translate that today. This man is a middle or upper middle class earner.
Right.
And we don't get that sense in The Color Purple that in that time frame, Mr. was a guy who was a guy of means. And right. you get a small hint of that at the end of the movie when, I'm going to play the clip, but at the end of the movie, when Celie jumps up and is going, finally standing up to him, and he starts hollering about, you ain't going to take none of my money. That was the first inkling that Mr. had anything, even though we're watching, him and Celie tend to this property.
Right.
And that goes into the narrative that, black men don't have nothing.
Right.
We ain't got nothing.
Right. And what it did, man, it's almost like this negative diatribe where they use every aspect, because when you listen to, I was listening to what you were saying, and you did a good job with the clips about Alice Walker. So when Tyler Perry was dealing with the trauma of being abused as a child, what Tyler Perry did, he created movies. And so it's no different than what Alice Walker did to some degree. People create movies based on their trauma, and they use their imagination. In the clinical world, it's called sublimation. It means to take something good or negative impulses and then turn it into something positive. That's called healthy ego defense mechanism. It's mature. But a lot of times, everybody don't know how to take that negative and flip it. I got a clip I want to show you, Bravado, real quick. What's up, Black Man Unfiltered? What's up, brother? And I got a clip I want to show you real quick. You want me to pull it up, TJ?
Yeah. Can you load it in there?
Yes, sir. Give me 1 minute. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Black
Man Unfiltered, what you think what Kosher talking about?
Man, listen, Coach, it's hard to come behind Kosher because Kosher gets that roux in that gumbo and he stirs it real thick and good. And so it's hard to come behind him to add anything else because the gumbo has already been prepared. However, he is correct. I think that they didn't show a lot about Mr., because Mr. was a hardworking man. He was taught by his father to be a hardworking man. He was a hardworking man who had some issues. And the movie depicted him as the devil and the demon. And just going to the root of this thing, I think that this woman, Alice, you could just look at her and tell that she's a bowl of unsweetened tea that just poured this all over the world, and created in her mind, as you broke it down, sir, so eloquently. She broke it down in her mind and made up this whole thing. And I put in the back chat when I was talking to the guest in the back that she took Barney's imagination tools literally, because she used that imagination like I've never seen before in my life.
Right.
And she wanted to make all the men in the world look like how she viewed men through the eyes of people that say they experienced it, and she never did. So that's my thoughts on it.
Hey, black man, I put the link in, man. I don't know if you can see. I might have to send it to your email, but I did go and get the clip. Can you see it?
Oh, hold on. Let me see. No, I can't see it.
So
what? The background. I'll send
what
it
do
to
you
you.
think about? Hold on, Kosher. What do you think about Mr. being them not really highlighting the fact that Mr. was a productive man?
A productive man.
Well, I mean, for me, it was expected. We really, honestly, with Mr., we really didn't get a lot other than he was abusive. Like, we didn't get any background on him. Like, we don't know what happened with him and his daddy. We don't know what happened with him and his mama. Like, we never heard anything about her. We never heard, I mean, just a little bit about the wife. Like, it was just, the only thing we got about Mr. was he was mad that he couldn't have Suge. Then he was mad he couldn't have Nettie, so he took it out on Celia. That is literally all we got out of Mr.
But when you're looking at the scenery and where they're at, that you can see, if you're paying attention, that Mr.
I mean, he was definitely a productive member of society. I mean, Mr. He looked like, I mean, if we had, seen Mr. out, in the town amongst the people, he looked like he was getting plenty of respect.
Right.
And then he had plenty of horses, which equates to having multiple vehicles. You know what I mean? Right. Every time he left, or with the town, he was in a suit with a brim like Kosher. He was always, So the imagery, even though they don't, and I find that really remarkable that they spent so much time, looking at one aspect of this man, but they're not looking at the other. The fact that there's a place for it. Now, I'm not making excuses for Mr., but I'm just talking about what I noticed as I'm watching back now, and I'm looking at this farm, this big, vast amount of land that he gets to farm, and he gets to make money.
House.
And then the size of the home, and then the home is huge, and then enough land for Harpo to build his home, and that damn Harpo's juke joint was off the
juke
river,
joint,
which was on Mr.'s land.
It was.
So all of that, I'm not saying that all of that makes him a better man, you know what I mean? But that also leads into the subconscious that men don't have nothing. They showed how raggedy and unkept his house was, you know what I mean? Without a woman, and he couldn't do nothing without a woman, When he was running around trying to go meet up Celie, he was pictured as like a feckless man, didn't know his cufflinks, his socks. He didn't know what sport jacket to wear.
Yeah.
All of that plays a part in the imagery of black men.
But don't we do that now? Like, not look at the big picture and just hone in on the one piece that, to try to make your point.
Yeah.
Like, even though he was providing and, was taking care of everything and nobody wanted for anything. And, Celie, had a roof overhead, plenty of food to eat, just that. Forget all of that. Just, he abusing her. That's all we need to talk about. That part you need to see. Forget about the rest. We still do that today.
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I want to take Keith. We're going to get to Kosher's clip.
I'll send it to you.
No, it's here in the back. I can see it.
Oh, you can see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pull it up in a second. Okay. Take heed. I lost my train of thought. God dog it. See what you
was talking about how unappreciated the black man was, the hardworking black man was in the movie.
Right. Did you see that take heed with Mr.?
Well, they had to make Mr. look evil now. They couldn't make him look nice. They had to make him look evil. So they had to make him seem like he was this man that was unkept, that even though he had this big house, the horses, the land, everything, they still had to make him seem like he was a Pookie and Rere, okay, of that time. They couldn't make it seem like he was this well-kept man, that he was amazing when he came to get silly and all this, because if they would have done that, the story would have went left.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to make him be the villain, okay? That's what they do. It's easy for them to make the black man a villain. Just like we call that Brickgate. When Brickgate happened, it was so easy for all the black women to jump on board and say all black men are evil. And they had to do that. That's just my take on it.
Okay, here we go, culture.
At hand is the controversial statement that the color purple hates black men. To fully understand and explain this statement, it is important to provide context. The Color Purple is a novel written by Alice Walker in 1982, which was later adapted into a critically acclaimed film in 1985. The story revolves around African American women living in the rural South during the early 20th century, exploring themes of race, gender, and power dynamics. The statement that the color purple hates black men seems to stem from the perspective that some readers or viewers feel the book and film primarily focus on the mistreatment and abuse inflicted upon women by black men. While it is true that the novel and film address issues of domestic violence and male oppression, it is essential to note that the narrative also emphasizes the strength, resilience, and sisterhood of the female characters. Instead of promoting hatred towards black men, The Color Purple serves as an exploration of complex relationships between men and women within a particular historical and cultural backdrop. It highlights the struggles and challenges faced by African American women during a time of systemic racism and gender inequality. It is worth mentioning that literature and film can provoke diverse interpretations and emotional responses from different individuals. While some may interpret the story as being critical of black men, others find value in the book's exploration of intersectionality and the experiences of African.
Okay.
Right. So it's always coming from a liberal construct. It's always coming from a feminist perspective. You see on the end, they got a gay black man. They're talking about intersectionality. Intersectionality talks about the intersection of trauma and pain and all the things the women went through. But once again, they never look at the intersection of how Jim Crowism and every.
Oh,
Ain't nothing but the devil.
For
They
real.
knew he was cooking. They knew he was cooking.
YouTube.
Somebody said pull that nigga internet. Yeah,
YouTube ain't shit. Hold on.
ain't shit.
Thank you.
Hold on a second. I got a question for you. Hold on.
Here we go. Money talk.
That boy, that hoe was singing, boy.
Was she though? Was
That
she
hoe
though?
was singing.
What you
Boy,
say?
that hoe
Sinners
was
got
singing.
soul too.
Hey, that hoe was singing. Go ahead.
Can you go ahead and read the chats real quick?
Say again.
Can you go ahead and read the super chat for me?
Yes, sir. Shatara Jolie with the $2. It says, "It's really cool to see you in here. Wait. Cool to see you and hear you. Oh shit. Michonne, you don't be on camera? Oh, that's what it is. I don't have contact. My fault.
Michonne-
It's really cool to see you and hear you, Michonne. Shout out to Michonne.
Yep. All right.
Coop was popping with the 20 ball. He said, "Oh, it's a stupid sticker, shit like that, man."
Shit like that. Shit like that.
Uh-huh,
Shit like
uh-huh,
that.
uh-huh.
Shit like that. Shit like that.
The International Quiet Storm with the $2 says BGS equals Black Gnostic Speaks. All right.
Oh, okay.
Martell Lamar with the $5 says Michonne has a face.
Wow.
There's a storm with the $5. Wow, that was an interesting point that BM saw their people abuse and could do nothing with his strength he knew he had. What torment. Damn. My sexy is strong with the $5. What's popping? Stopping by to show love. That's real.
That's what's up. Ham, as a man who is as a business owner,
Yes, sir.
so do you think your story can be told without telling the fact that you're a business owner?
think would be exceptionally difficult. I think if, like you said, I think the film is well presented, right? So, like for instance, there's a movie called No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
It's a great film, right? But you have to be in the movies to watch it. It has no score. People don't even realize that unless somebody tells you. There's no music at all, right? So if you're watching the movie, it's, you know, really watching it, you can see how successful Mr. is, right? But you have to be into it though, right? So if you're a movie connoisseur, you could pick it up. But I think for the novice, just watching, just for entertainment, they'll miss it.
Yeah, it took me about halfway through the movie to really realize that Mr. was actually a successful man in that time frame. So this is like in the early 1900s, 1910, 1915, 1920. Wealth was measured in property, in cattle, in horses, in children, and the volume of children that you had. So he was rivaling, and this was in rural Georgia that this took place in. So he was rivaling his white male counterparts at the time. He had what they had to a degree.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, I find I don't want to harp on it because we got to get back to culture. I don't want to harp on that too much, but I find it fascinating that this piece of his story, which if you're not paying attention, you don't realize is there. You know, and I understand why they're doing it for the storytelling purposes, but I believe you can still tell the story and that too. You know, you can give him a sliver of humanity. I mean, I guess you could say at the end of the story when he went and paid the immigration, that was a humanity. To me, that was just him trying to get into heaven at that point. But I'm just saying, you can get, there's humanity in any character. And to your point, we saw his father. We saw his father and how kind of, warped his mind was. And and when I talk to my grandfather, he's 80-something years old now. My grandfather don't talk like that. He don't talk like Mr. He don't talk like Mrs. Father. And my grandfather was born in the early 40s. So, that's almost kind of like that time period or whatever. So I don't know. Kosher?
Yeah. So I was talking about intersectionality. I don't know, maybe the robots kicked me out, because they don't want that file. Man. They don't want the file for their mind. You know how that goes, man. But I got another clip, Black Man. I mean, I be confusing you and Black Man Unfiltered. It's the same. Y'all remind me of each other.
Because we both big brothers?
Two big black niggas, just Black Man Unfiltered.
But so there's another. So this is an interplay of a lot of different things. It's always painting a negative picture of black men. Some we talked about earlier. It definitely have a liberal underpinning. And like you were saying, it gives no credence to the humanity of black men. It gives no credence to the struggles of black men. It doesn't have any type of conciliatory nature when it comes down to the struggle of black men and the things that they went through. Once again, we never considered that granddaddy, great-great-granddaddy, the one that was drinking, the one that was an alcoholic. We don't consider that he was going through trauma too. We don't consider that he was living through the vicarious trauma of his predecessors, no different than the woman was living through the vicarious trauma of her mothers and her grandmother. So we never have a place of empathy when it comes down to the struggles of men. And that's not trying to say that men that abused women back then was justified. But what they don't understand, this negative mischaracterization of black men, it's endemic to all ethnic groups. What happened in some of those homes in the South was endemic to what white men were doing, the Indians or whoever. It's not a black man issue. It's a human issue. But just like there were black women using more or less minimizing their stories and try to paint black men, like you were talking about your grandfather, as villains, that happened as well. Black men that fought for this country valiantly while they were overseas, some of their women, not all, but some of those women were sleeping with other men and having babies, but we didn't have paternity testing back then. But there's nothing new under the sun. But when it comes down to women, it's always sugar and spice, everything nice. We always see the man as the villain. We see the woman as being innocent. You remember the tale back in the day, what the little girls made love, sugar and spice and everything nice. It's power and victimization. But then what the little boys made love, puppy dog tails and snails. Boys are always seen as negative and bad. And so this continues, this movie continues the perpetuation that boys are bad, men are dangerous, men are violent. And it's dangerous because it's caste typing, and it can destroy the image of black men.
Okay. All right, Kof, I know we got some more. We're gonna circle back to you. We're gonna move on to the next part of this, which is we're gonna stick with the theme of Mr. But one of the other themes that were in the movie that was very, very profound was how oversexed we were. Not in how we preferred, I'm being careful, how we prefer little girls. You know, so Mr., you know, had an affinity for what's her name? Huh?
Nettie.
Nettie. And so when Mr. couldn't get Nettie, you know, we saw his other cruelty on display. I'm going to play a short clip, guys. I know the video is blurry. I did it on purpose because we're trying to protect all the channels here. So we're going to play a little bit shortness of that, okay?
Let us stay, please let us stay. I'll do anything for you. Let us stay.
Get the hell out of my house!
Let us stay.
And so that picture here, I'm gonna bring up Kofa because this is Kofa and Black Men Unfiltered. I'm gonna drop everybody else down. You know, this narrative that, you know, Black men, you know, we just want to take and conquer everything that when we can't get it, we just take it. And this whole narrative, because Mr. couldn't get Natty to do what he wanted to do, you know, he wanted it to destroy. So how did this line or theme in this movie, how does that affect us today?
It's still the same thought process. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, peace. What's going on, y'all? It's still the same thought process that we just a bunch of horn dogs. Even when we was talking briefly at the beginning, it was like, well, niggas love hoes. The first thing we go through in our culture is men love pussy. That's the first thing. Excuse me for cussing. I know we're trying to keep everybody's channel clean. My apologies. Men love hoes. We just running behind women. If we can't get it, then we gonna take it. This was the first time that we've actually seen it, I guess, on screen back in '85. And it's funny too, because I rewatched it today. Then I looked and saw what year it came out, and it came out today in 1985. December 18th, 1985 is when it came out. So it's funny that we're talking about it again. But it's just this theme that we're oversexed, and he's doing his business on top of Nettie because he couldn't get to what's the other sister name?
Celia.
No, he was
he was on top of Celia. He couldn't get to Nettie, but he had Suge Avery picture next to the bed
because Suge.
So, big facts. So then because we're watching Mr. in action, we're seeing it visibly. Black men are tyrants. The one thing we didn't see is Suge Avery's father act like that. So the initial outset of the movie, we get it from Nettie and Celia's father. It immediately goes to Mr. And then we know, Suge was a hoe, like you said.
What did you say she was?
A hoe.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
So it's just this constant idea, and it's carried over to today. Y'all only want IG models. Y'all only want these internet baddies and so on and so forth. Most of these chicks, like we were talking about with the men, most people are average. RIP to Kevin Samuels. The brother has said it several times. Most people, y'all hear what? Let me take the toothpick out so y'all hear me clear. Most people, that includes men and women. Ladies, you don't get a pass. Brothers, you don't get a pass. Most people are average, but we keep drilling everything back down to sex in our community. I mean, it's layers and on top of layers on top of layers. Those are three women that this one man is supposed to represent. He's lustful. He's sexually abusive because he just pumping and sweating, but he can't get the Nettie and he can't get the Suge. So I'm gonna just take what I can get. And then when Nettie does come around, then then they make him a little boy. He's low key flirting with Nettie. I don't know if y'all remember that scene when she's going to school.
He on the
slide
horse.
in black women's education again. He's playing with her on the horse, hiding behind the trees. Then he lets the horse go off by itself, and then he hops out the bushes. That's mighty white of you. Ain't that what white folks did?
Yep.
These Negroes hop out the bushes and just take white women. So he does that. Nettie kicks him in the balls. She's fighting him off. I gotta go to school. I gotta go to school. I gotta go to school. Fast forward nowadays, what are we hearing from sisters? I gotta go to school. I can't marry you. I'm not going to date you. I gotta focus on school. I gotta focus on my job. I gotta focus on my business. I'm a boss. I got other business than being with a man. Now, point taken that he was trying to grape her. But again, they encompass everything negative in a black man in this one man in this movie, and they kept regurgitating it because even though Celie was the protagonist, that was her husband. So we're going to constantly see him, and every time we saw him, it was something negative. He was either a buffoon, a little boy, or an abuser.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm just throwing it out there, Black Man and DJ Hamp. So does this play into the narrative that the only thing that black men need to be happy from the women is just some coochie? That's all we need?
Well,
you go ahead, Hamp. Go ahead.
No, it might be short. I mean, we perpetuate the stereotype of sex, silence, and sandwich, right? We've been resounding with that message. So if we saying that, why would they not be inclined to believe it? Go ahead, Black Man.
Yeah, I think that the narrative is. I piggyback on what Ham said. I think that that's what they solely believe. You know, even going back to this movie, just look at the fact of Nettie and look at Celie. Look at the difference in how pretty Nettie was versus how ugly ugly, and keep it clean, as Celie was. So not only did they say the man wants the best looking woman, but he had to settle for the less attractive young lady, right? Daddy didn't want to let Nettie go because Nettie was the pretty one. Oh no, you can't. She too good for you. But I do got my ugly daughter back here. You can have her.
Damn.
It's a fact.
But you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about that?
That's what's going on today, right? That's what's going on. Women are competing with their beauty. One woman and women don't dress up for us. They don't put on this sexy stuff for us. They do it because they're competing with other women.
Yeah. And based on her beauty, she will get siloed into a box forever. She can have all these awesome attributes. But if she is not pretty enough, she will only be I don't want to curse you. She will only be for sex.
Yep.
That's it. No matter how good a qualities men see, because beauty 9 times out of 10 for most men is number one.
And guess what? They call those women shadow chicks. And if you don't know what a shadow chick is, I'll take a few seconds to tell you what that is. A shadow chick is a young woman who men like to have sex with when it's dark outside, when nobody sees it, when nobody sees when the man's going in the house. He'll never take you to meet his mama. You'll never go out to the movies with him. He'll never sit you down at a 5-star restaurant, or he won't sit you down even at Burger King. He only uses you for extracurricular activities.
The 1 a.m.
So you are a shadow chick.
The last call. The one 3 say what'd you say, Ham?
It's 3 a.m.
Yes.
1 a.m.
Yep. 3 a.m.
And he get in one and he go. But then when you see him in public, he got that 10 on his side, right? That one that's pretty beautiful, right? Probably not even satisfy him sexually like that. But then when he get done, he like, shit, I'm going back over to the big girl. I'm going back over to the ugly girl house because she got that good everything.
But 3 a.m. try hard.
Oh yeah. Walmart buying a king size Twix and she's standing right in front of you with a bonnet on. To my hey,
and she Uber to you.
Yeah. I'll be over there in a minute.
But this character of the Mister, I like you said that they try to put all the bad things about black men into one dude. But this is them. Does this help our women oversex us too? I mean, help perpetuate that stereotype that's all we want, because that's all they serve to us. Because listen, when you start having when you in the get to know you phase, and I hate this question, that question, what do you bring to the table? I fucking hate that goddamn question, But when you're asking that type of question, and she goes, "Well, just me." Well, what does that mean? Just you and the coochie, or what does that mean?
Well, most women will tell you, TJ. I bring the coochie to the table. That's it. What else would you? Most women will tell you that.
What else do you
need?
What else do you need?
Yeah, they'll ask you.
I mean,
Take heed to the messages right there. She deal with these women every day.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, take heed. Get jump in there.
Mm-hmm.
They do say that, but I tell them that the man is the table. Shout out to Ricky. The man is the table, that you are the woman, so you come to dress the table.
Yeah. You better
But
talk
you're
tonight.
right,
Cookie.
they do too much. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But and just to pivot off of that though, what was wrong with Suge then? She was providing sex to the whole county.
That's the question. What was going on in Suge house?
And that was the part. That was the part. I'm gonna give y'all some pushback. One shit wrong with Mr. Daddy. One shit wrong with that man. All he did was sit on the porch and call out, "Boy, why the hell you in love with this hoe?"
No, we don't know that though, Coach. We don't know. We know what happened to Mr. Mama.
I'm saying what's presented what's presented on the screen. All that man said was, "Boy, why are you in love with this hoe? You've been chasing her forever a day." And to TJ's point, with Mr. having all this property, remember what Pop said. You've been chasing her all this time, and you took a lot of my money with it. So how much work his daddy put in that his buffoon ass son blow away?
Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's chop it up, man. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, may I interject? It's about time for communal reconnect. Power of the weed in some type of context. Working on the us so we can hit up what's next. It's that grown brother, grown